What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tiege pack. Tiege makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tiege Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tiege Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tiege pack. Feel the Tiege, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels, and it is Monday, September 11th, 2023, year of our Lord. What's going on, friends and family? I appreciate you guys. They say, Anton, you look like Isaac Hayes. I see that as a compliment. Hopefully you meant it as a compliment. Hopefully, I am the younger version of Isaac Hayes. Sexy, I am. What's going on? We're going to have a great show. I have a lot of information. You know, one thing about Mondays is that we always have a lot of information to share. Because so much happens over the weekend. So much so to where sometimes I'll be thinking to myself, I would love to do a weekend show. However, Anton has to maintain his sanity. I have to have self-care. Yesterday, I flew in from Tampa back into Metro Detroit. I'm always happy to get home. However, I went to bed at 7 p.m. Eastern. And it's not that I had to. It was things that I was going to take care of, but I had already prepped most things on a plane on my way back home. And then I said, you know what? And I didn't wake up until my normal wake up time, which is 4:45 a.m. And so I slept beautifully. I slept like a little baby. And then I woke up at 4:45. I was back in the mix, back in the office by 6 p.m., took care of business. Everything is great. Man, I feel so good. I feel incredible. I feel like I got another burst of energy. I don't know what that is. Took my vitamins this morning. Everything was laid out. Maybe it's that single life. You know, when your girl is in a whole nother place, and so your girl and your kid is in a whole nother place. I know they fly back this weekend. Listen, I love my kid and everything like that. But I'm telling you, when you're able to move a little bit differently and you get to sleep and you ain't got to do no entertaining, fellas, listen, I love being married, but enjoy being by yourself. I'm about to get into the show. I'm going to read the super chats. I want to acknowledge the people that hit me on Cash App. Let me just say this. No matter what state that you're in, enjoy that time. Because what happens is when you become whole as an individual, you then become great as a couple. I don't want anybody coming into no relationships. Whenever y'all get a coaching session with me, whenever y'all tap into the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Whenever y'all get into a relationship, I don't want you going into it 50-50. I want you to be whole. I want you going into it 100-100. Everybody that's single, stop trying to be married. Everybody that's married, stop trying to be single. Just enjoy your season. Enjoy wherever it is that you are along your journey. And that way you're not desperate. You're not hoping, you're not wishing, you're not interdependent on somebody else for your happiness. You're just coming into it whole. Most people that get into a relationship, or when I see people, even pick-me's, and I have no problem with pick-me's because they're trying to make themselves available for whoever it is that's available to them. They often at times become chameleons a lot of times because they're so busy trying to fit a narrative in order to get married, but they're not really becoming whole. So a wife is a wife regardless of whether or not she's desperate or not. And so I don't want people moving out of desperation. I want you to move out of abundance. And when you move out of abundance, people can feel your shine. They can feel your energy. You know how when y'all get on here, and I like one of the reasons why I like interacting with the chat. Shout out to King Sid. Shout out to Gangster Love, Persevere Data, Randy, everybody that's in the building. What up, what up, what up? One of the reasons why I like interacting with the chat is because you guys can feel my energy. I feel your energy, even if it's just through the chat. Shout out to Brittany B. I love feeling your energy. You can tell if I'm in a good mood or not. You can tell whether I'm lit. You can tell whether I'm excited. And by the time that I start seeing everything that pops up on the screen, Mary Alazo, Jarrell Davis, Miss Best, by the time I start seeing y'all stuff on the screen, I can feel your energy, and that's the thing that powers me through. And so what I want you guys to do is just be happy in whatever season that you're in, because that is the thing that's then going to allow for you to really be great as a couple, be great as a networker, be great within your company, be great as a business person, be great as a parent, be great as a husband, a wife, a nephew, a niece, a grandparent, a grandchild, wherever it is that you are. Stop being desperate, because that's the thing that's preventing you from getting where it is that you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get into the show. Let me kick it with y'all. Let me acknowledge a few Cash App Super Chats. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to my dog, Mike, that dude on Cash App, always holding me down. I appreciate you. Also, on top of that, let me give an acknowledgement to some of my early super chatters. Miss Crow T. Shetty is in the building. Just drop that off in a collection plate. You already know what I'm going to say. Also, on top of that, Blue Chip G is in the building with the fireball. Says, what's good, Anton from AntonDaniels.com. Thank you for letting me rock with you. You are my number one show. Shout out to the Bag Chasers out of St. Louis. Shout out to my Bag Chasers out of St. Louis. Everybody is kicking it. My dog, Fi Brown, is in the building. Alvin is. And let me go ahead and get a health check, mental health check. Give me one word. One word. What is your sentiment? What is your demeanor? How do you feel? What is your outlook towards life? Give me one word that accurately describes where you're at mentally. Mental health check. Chat. I want you to give me a mental health check and let me know where you at today. Energy-wise, emotionally, spiritually. Kojak said, yeah, all right. H2 said, I'm alive. Excited, good, heavy, bright, chilling, determined, disappointed. Oh, hopefully we can fix that today. Healthy, awesome, hungry, blessed, determined, amazing, positive, peaceful, grateful, excited, motivated, ambitious, motivated, good, lit, grateful, optimistic, so, okay. Grateful, moving. I'm going to fix that. Blessed, positive, under the weather. Oh, let's send a blessing up for you. Ecstatic, blessed, straight chilling, grateful, feeling motivated, determined, bossing, grateful, ambitious, happy, refreshed, pissed off. Hopefully we can fix that. I don't want you crashing out, tired, blissful. A little defeated. I got you. Ambitious, joyful, driven, optimistic, happy, fantastic. 49ers gang. Incredible, optimistic, pivoting forward. I like that. Inspired, blessed, and highly favored. Horny, birthday focused, overwhelmed, stupendous. Done, relieved, horny again. Kosher. Okay, Bryce, I got it. You horny. So excited, blessed, refreshed, hype, reluctant, married, winning, stupendous, victorious, brickless, healthy, happy, smooth, super saiyan, gratitude, grateful. Shout out to my dog, Real Estate Jones. Stressed and backed into a corner. All right, so let me give y'all what y'all need. Victorious, high, pertinacious. You didn't think I knew that word, did you? I'm a C student, but I can read effectively. All right, so let me go ahead and get started with the show. I want to make sure that I do something really quickly before I get started with the show. Just got to make sure that I get the people what they need. Give me a second. We cooking with fish grease. Where is Persevere Data? I got to give him a wrench. Persevere Data TV. Comment in the chat, and then I need to give you a wrench. Oh, I see you. Got to get him a wrench. Add as a moderator. All right, cool. So, all right, because we need more moderators. So occasionally I'm going to jump in the chat and make sure that I add some people as a moderator. So I appreciate y'all. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the show. Housekeeping, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Tiege, Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Make sure that you get into the Patreon, all right? I'm dropping a link to the Patreon meetup in late October so that you guys can make sure that you get your flights. Those of you that's driving in, you'll be able to get there. Late October, we're going to do the Patreon meetup in DC. I'm going to drop more details for that today inside of the Patreon. Also, make sure that you tap into that Tiege Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Ladies, you know what to do if your fellas ain't got it already. Go ahead and get that Tiege pack. And if you're rocking with any other Tiege pack, cancel it and get the one that I got. So now that we've evolved, now that we're no longer cussing on the Millionaire Morning Show, now that we can actively source through the information in order to be able to add value into your life, hopefully you guys get this through. I can get you through your day. I can, easily get you through 2 hours of your day, so then you'll be able to power through. I love it. I appreciate you. Shout out to SS29. Oh, we going to tackle that today. Don't worry about it. SS29, what up to SS29? Says NYC is a hot mess with the migrants. Oh, we definitely going to bring Eric Adams to the front of the congregation today. I guarantee you that. Lamar Graham says, what up, Anton? First ever super chat. But I've been trying to reach out to you for a while via email. Would love to tap in with you, Brody. I appreciate everything that you do. Lamar, I am absolutely going through every email. We read every email. Listen, if y'all send me an email, trust and believe that I got it and I'm reading it. Lamar, go ahead and send me another email to make sure that I got it at the top of my inbox, and then I'm going to make sure I'm going to tap in with you, big dog. Thank you, Lamar. I appreciate you, big dog. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the show. We're going to bring a lot of people to the front of the congregation. Last Friday, I did a video where I reviewed what Diddy said at InvestFest with regard to Ciroc. I want to bring him back to the front of the congregation today and tomorrow. Okay, today and tomorrow. Make sure you turn me up in the church. Make sure you turn me up in the daycares. Shout out to all of my truck drivers. Shout out to everybody working from home, my wives. Shout out to the fellas that's in the factory. Keep me on the factory floor. Keep me in the lunchroom. Turn me up. Turn me up. This is the best morning show on earth, and we need to make sure that everybody know about Anton from AntonDaniels.com on the Millionaire Morning Show. What up, what up, what up? We also going to bring the U.S., Congress, and Biden to the front of the congregation. Yes, we are. So we got Eric Adams, Diddy, Biden. But before we go all the way there, I want to make sure that I bring somebody else to the front of the congregation because shout out to Bush, the second Bush. I do want to bring the UAW to the front of the congregation. Shout out to the second Bush. If you know, you know. Some of y'all was too young, way too young to even be able to experience what it was like to live through 9/11 in the early 2000s. Some of you guys was way, way, way too young to really understand what it was like to be outside when Fabulous dropped his debut album, and then Jay-Z dropped on the same day, September 11th, The Blueprint. You wasn't outside. I had just graduated high school. I was getting to the bag. I was working in the factory. And a lot of people really forget, because a lot of times we like to bring one set of politicians to the front of the congregation, but we're not really paying attention to it in its entirety. And see, the one thing that you always going to realize about Anton from AntonDaniels.com is that I am an equal accountability smoke giver. I am an equal accountability smoke giver, meaning that I also give credit where credit is due. I try to be equal on that side. So when I identify something that somebody is doing good, I'm going to give you credit. Everybody that has ever had a coaching call with me, you know I might chew you out, or it might be a day in which I give you credit. It depends on whether or not you were successful with the homework that I gave you. Shout out to OG Rihanna. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to OG Rihanna. And it's funny because both Jay-Z and Fab is still relevant to today. Back then, I had no clue of what my life was going to turn out like. All I know is I had work ethic. I had an incredible amount of work ethic, so I was willing to work doubles. I was willing to work as much as I possibly could. I had not yet experienced what was to come, which was a recession, right? But let me first start this off by giving a moment of silence to every single person that was not only affected, but lost their lives on September 11th. Salute to y'all. Salute to the family members. Salute to the people. Salute to everybody. And it's funny because back then when you were watching it live. So when you were watching it on TV, you know, it's not like it is today where everything is not necessarily live. You may catch it on social media before they delete it or they censor it. But everything was on regular TV. Social media wasn't popping like it was now. We had the internet, right? We was popping off of Black Planet. MySpace was kicking it back then. Facebook was just starting to get into flight. But everything was on regular TV. And I remember because I was at work. Yep, I was at work. And everybody was calling everybody in because the first plane had hit the first building, right? And it was wild. And I was watching and I was thinking to myself, is this real? This can't be real. This cannot be real. And then we seen the second one hit the building, right? And that set off of a chain of events that we will never, ever be able to live down. It set off a chain of events that we will never, ever, ever, ever live down. And now that I've lived through it, in addition to being able to look at it in hindsight, it's crazy how the butterfly effect works. And a lot of people have never seen that movie. If you haven't seen that movie with Ashton Kutcher, it's a phenomenal movie. Make sure you go and watch The Butterfly Effect when you have time tonight. And also, right after you watch The Butterfly Effect, tune into the Q Show because we're going to be cooking up tonight live and direct on the panel. You know what we do every Monday night. It is a great show. I promise you we got some fire lined up for you tonight. But it's funny because the butterfly effect is basically when something small happens, such as a butterfly flaps its wings, it can absolutely positively change the trajectory of every single thing that happens in society. So much so to where if one little small detail is left out, you have a completely different set of circumstances. I'll give you an example. I guarantee you that if your father was in your life, that you wouldn't be as weak as you are now. I guarantee you that if your father was in your life, you absolutely positively would probably be married and you wouldn't be opening up your legs to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and then hitting the wall. And then at 35, 40, be coming to me talking about, Anton, I want to fix my life. I guarantee you that if you did the right thing, if you go back, every last one of us, if you go back and you look at it in hindsight and you start to evaluate how it is that your life would have turned out if you had went in one direction or another. I had a choice to make. As soon as I graduated high school, I used to talk to this girl, and I'm not ever going to mention her name because I would never mention the name of anybody that I'd ever interacted with. But I had a girl that I was talking to. I never told y'all this story, right? I never told y'all the details of this story, but I'm going to bring it all the way back to 9/11. I had a girl that I was talking to because me and Rita was just cool. We was just friends in high school, right? Yep. Me and Rita was friends in high school. A lot of people would say Rita was your sweetheart, your high school sweetheart. She absolutely wasn't. She was the girl that I had talked to, right? Or I had came up to and walked to, got her phone number. We decided that we was just going to be cool. She offered up her virginity to me. I said, nah, because I think that you're more precious than that, but I think that you're still going to be my wife, right? And so she was the girl that was always riding with me. We was cool, but I would have you to believe that I never even took Rita to the prom. I didn't. Rita went to prom with somebody else. She did. She went to prom with somebody else because I was going to a completely different prom with a whole nother girl, right? And the girl that I had took to prom, she was going to a private school, one of the most prestigious private schools in Metro Detroit, right? And then she wound up getting a scholarship, and so she wound up going all the way down to Georgia, and she went to Spelman. But then she would travel back and forth, and all throughout that summer, we was kicking it, right? Kicking it hard, heavy. And I had a decision to make, right? Because eventually she had came back, and so I had let her go once she went to college because I didn't believe in long-distance relationships, and I had to get on my grind. I had to focus. I had to focus on the thing that was most meaningful to me, and that was becoming the best version of myself, not a woman. I had no time for women at that time, right? And so Rita had came back into the picture, and then the other girl came back into the picture, right? And then what happened was I had a decision to make. Now, I could go with option A or option B, right? At that time, option A was Rita, and I had a whole fleet at that time, right? And so I had to let some girls go, and I had to let some know that they can't text me anymore. It wasn't no ghosting back then. You was actually had to do something. And I was even so naive. I was so naive that I brought both girls together, and they wound up having a conversation, and then it wound up being a cat fight. And one of them told Rita, or the girl told Rita, she said, he ain't trying to marry you. He ain't going for you. And so I had a decision to make. It was something that was going to change my life forever. I had one of three options. First, option A was to go with her, go with the other girl, right? She was over at Spelman. She was going to get her engineering degree, whatever, so on and so forth, right? Or I had option B. Option B was, or actually Rita was option A. She was option B. And then option C was just to let them all go and just go ahead and live my life, right? But I decided to go with option A. I went with Rita. Now, got my daughter Leslie, been married for 19 years. I am where I am today. I'm sitting here having a conversation with you. But the question then remains, would I be still talking to you, and would I be exactly who it is that I am? Or would I be a completely different version of Anton Daniels had I made a different decision? Who knows? Who knows? Because the beauty of life and the beauty of living this life is that you never get an opportunity to make a second impression. You never get to redo it. There are no redos. There are no redos. But let's bring it back to 9/11, right? Because to a larger extent, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not going to go into that. But 9/11 was a very, very interesting time. I don't believe that 9/11 is what everybody else is, but I'm not going to expound upon that because I understand that we own a platform that I do not own. I'm just a guest over here on YouTube and Facebook. And so I'm going to keep that conversation to myself unless you kick it with me in person. You're a part of the Patreon. You wind up meeting me in DC and kicking it with me in October. You're not going to get that part of the story. But I believe that 9/11 is something completely different. But more importantly, let's not forget the president. Because I got a lot of smoke for these lefties and these liberals and everything like that. But let's not forget the person that shepherded us through this time in history in which we had planes crashing into the building. I believe that President Clinton was a horrible president. President Clinton was the person that then shepherded us through and into this time in which we thought was financial prosperity, but it was setting us up in order to be handed over into the second Bush that then shepherded us through more layoffs, even more economic instability, an explosion of debt, and then more importantly, war. And he set the stage as a very, and in my opinion, possibly one of the worst presidents that I've lived through in my lifetime. He shepherded us through and he handed us over into Obama. And you know what that did? That prepared us. It prepared us. You know what it prepared us? It prepared us for? It prepared us to be disarmed and to go with the first person that we seen that gave us hope. And you know what hope is? Hope is garbage. And that is exactly what they ran on when they ran in 2008, leading up to the 2008 election in order to get Obama to become president. And when Obama became president, he shoved through so much legislation that we're now regretting today. And he was the first person to truly, or the first president to truly advocate for the alphabet community, the very thing that we think is destroying our communities today. And that was on the back of feminism. And on the back of the fact that we didn't have any money when the 2008 recession hit. And the fact that everything was falling apart with regard to the auto industry and the recession and everything like that. Bush led us into the burning house, and then Obama brought us out of it, but he gave us one option as a result of it. Take this hope and everything that comes with it, and you don't even know how you're going to be affected all the way up into 2023. Or continue to stay in a burning house. Isn't it funny how you look back on things in hindsight, how all of the black people thought that President Clinton was the first black president, and we were so impressed by the fact that he got head inside of the office? President Clinton got head in the Oval Office, and I did not sleep with that woman. And we still elected it. We still rocked with him. We loved him. And we loved him so much that we almost elected his wife. No experience, no real opportunity to prove herself, no background in doing things that's great. She just so happened to be the one that stuck with him. And so he had to pay her back, and we almost got Hillary Clinton elected just because we were so smitten with the idea of the person that shoved through and got all of your people locked up, created this whole crisis of economic uncertainty by forcing you and allowing for you and to be the person that then set forth all of the stuff that happened in the housing crisis. Bush shepherded us into two wars and then gave us the 2008 recession, and then Obama saddled us with what it is that we're dealing with today as far as our kids having to pay for the sins of their fathers. Ain't that crazy? Ain't it crazy how we sitting here having this conversation? Think about it. We don't have Obama. We probably don't have Biden. The butterfly effect. We don't have Bush. We probably don't have Obama. We might have had Mitt Romney. Who knows what have happened? But my point is this. Never forget. And the problem with most humans is that they don't live to be 150, 200 years old, 300 years old. So by the time that we start to pay attention to the transgressions that we did before, or our fathers, it's already too late. And our kids come up and they say, well, you lived your life. We don't want to hear from you anymore. By the time that they start to figure it out, they've then trauma bonded and then put on generational curses for the people that come after them. So at some point, you have to break the curse by paying attention and never forgetting what it is that took place and how things happen, exactly how it happened, so that we don't duplicate it, we learn from it, and we make modifications as a result of it. But I am of the impression that it's too late. I do think that it's too late. I think that we've already set off a chain of events that now has put us under the thumb, and we've never learned from the mistakes, and we continue to vote based off of our emotions. We continue to vote based off of the vote or die campaign. They was on 106 in Park telling all black people to vote, but they wasn't educating them as to why it is that they should think their way through it. They told you to go ahead and get your credit together so you can become more in debt. They told women, hey, why don't y'all go ahead and get educated and divest yourselves against the thing that's best for you, against your family, so that you can go ahead and vote and pick the things that we don't want and raise all of these kids. And so now you got all of these single baby mamas, and they begging Biden for forgiveness, and then they voted based off of that. And you got AOC and Nancy Pelosi, right? Chuck Schumer. None of these people can even walk and think for themselves. They freezing up on the panel, and now we continue to just be saddled with the things that's worse for us, and they're nothing but a reflection of the people. So what am I telling you today? What am I telling you today? I'm telling you that at some point, and the best way for you to truly remember those that was jumping out of that fucking, I'm sorry, excuse my language, those that, as I was watching TV live, in the break room, at my job, anticipating getting laid off, all of the people that sacrificed their lives without a choice, and they were jumping out of the building. It was a burning building, and if you could see it, like watching that footage, I remember, I don't even have to go back and watch the original footage. I don't even know if they still show it the way that they were showing it back then. There were people that were jumping out of the building, a burning building, because they felt like it was a better way to go than to burn alive in a building. There are politicians, in my opinion, that is willing to sacrifice the lives of the American people, including our soldiers, sending them to war for pointless wars in order to maintain power and continue to push an agenda that's not in the best interest of the people. And we continue to buy it. We continue to rock with it. We continue to embrace it. And we will never bring ourselves back to the front of the congregation and say, why are we continuing to embrace the things that's not best for us? Don't you realize that them having you continue to ask for reparations is to continue to keep you distracted from the things that really matter? Don't you realize that you keep embracing all of this dumb rap music and stuff, and they keep singing and putting these melodies in your head to program you to think a certain type of way, is the way that they keep you distracted and filled with information that's not best for you, because it is not going to work out in your best interest. It's going to work in theirs. You keep thinking that it's a race war. It's a class war. Don't you understand that there's an agenda tied to every single thing that happens inside of life? But the question becomes, is it your agenda, or is it something that's put upon you and they taught you how to think, and so you have to unlearn all of the nonsense that they give you in order to make a more informed decision? Don't you realize that your kids is going to be the ones that pay for the sins of their fathers? Don't you realize that you're going to have to do something different instead of just standing on this sister code and this bro code that's not best for you in order to then change the trajectory of your family? Don't you realize that you have to unlearn all of the BS that they taught you from a financial perspective? They told you and they sold it to you, and then you sold it to all of your friends because you got on social media and you were saying a bunch of stuff that you didn't even know what you were saying. And so they told you to get the 30-year mortgage because this whole country is built on debt. You're not focused. You don't want to learn anything because it's so easy for you to get distracted by the things that's not meaningful to you. It's so easy for you to get distracted. You get on social media and you jump on Instagram and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll. And before you know it, 3 hours has passed by and you have not gotten anything meaningful in your life except for maybe a giggle, a comment, and a like. That's why this is the greatest morning show on earth. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you and fill you with things that's not meaningful for your life. I'm going to reprogram you to think for yourself, not to even think of what it is that I am telling you to think. I want you to use your God-given senses, your brain, your understanding, your youth, and compare it to the things that you've experienced, and then learn to think for yourself. Make an informed decision. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to tell you how to think, how to source the information, how to bring it all back down to the root cause, which is usually the money, and then how to make an informed decision on how you can source the most of it so that you can then control what happens in your life and then ultimately the people that depend on you. Y'all ready to work? It's Monday. September 11th, 2023. Y'all ready to work? Y'all ready to get to this bag? Let's get to it. Let me read a few super chats and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the real show. Greatest morning show on earth. Make sure you tell your friends and family. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we do. This is what we do. Shout out to P. Shank in the building. I appreciate you, P. Shank. He says, I was getting dressed for work and watching the news when it happened. I saw the second plane going to the building, and it was so scary. I appreciate you, P. Shank. Thank you for holding me down. Power Washing Pro in the building says, AD, you the realest human on the tube, brother. 4 years in, keep pounding my guy. Patreon bag chasers. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I shouldn't have to keep telling y'all that. I shouldn't have to tell y'all that it's a bunch of people in here and y'all ain't hit a like for the YouTube algorithm yet. Greatness to Work is in the building. Says, had to get your Andre 3 Stacks on Players Anthem on. CC, every girl that I was seeing around town. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Greatness to Work. Thank you for holding me down. My dog, Mr. Maximus, says, Brick Girl lied. It was an allergic reaction. Ooh, we're going to address it. We're going to address it. Brian Smith says, Time Dog in his bag. Early today. Thank you for the two ball. I appreciate you, big dog. Let's see who we got. Cognac TV says, Preach AD. I appreciate you, my fam. Thank you for holding me down. Also, Enforcer 2K9 says, we got to bring California to the front. They just passed Bill AB 957 that allows the government to take your kids if you don't affirm their gender identity. Send me that. Send me that. I need to react to that. I need to see what's happening out here in these streets. Thank you guys for continuing to hold me down. Y'all ready to get started with the show? Let's do so. Eric Adams. We got to bring Eric Adams to the front of the congregation. We're going to have to bring Eric Adams to the front of the congregation. Jerry, I'm going to read that super chat right after this part of the show. Thank you for holding me down. We're going to have to bring Eric Adams, Mayor Eric Adams. Remember when y'all voted Eric Adams in? Remember when y'all voted Eric Adams in and y'all said, yo, this is the man. He is of the people. He has a bald head like Anton from AntonDaniels.com. And he's a representative of a certain demographic. We need people in office that look like us because they're going to be the ones that champion what it is that's best for us. We need something to inspire our children. Y'all didn't get enough of that with Obama? Y'all didn't get enough of that with Obama? You said, I want to put myself back in the same circumstance that I was in, maybe even worse this time, especially if I live in New York. Okay. Well, let me revisit something before we bring him on down to the front of the congregation. Eric Adams, because I need to give the entire context. Eric Adams once said this, and he stood on this. He said, we should protect our immigrants. Period, Pooh. Period, Pooh. He said, period, just like a modern black woman. He said, we should protect our immigrants, period. He stood on that. He posted that. He said, this is what I stand on. This is where I'm at about it. Ain't no mistake about it. I don't like what's going on down in Texas, Florida. We not going to close the border. We going to protect our immigrants. Yes, New York City will remain a sanctuary city under the Adams or under an Adams administration. Hashtag Eric on NBC. Period, Pooh. Okay. Well, I feel you, Mr. Adams. Let's get into it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. The name of this show is say never forget. Never forget. Forgive, but never, ever, 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 ever forget. All right? Let me read to you how he stood on this. Or not even read to you. Let me show you how he stood on this. Let's fast forward it a little bit. Let's fast forward it just a bit. We're going to skim through this because we don't need to read all of that.
It's just not realistic when you're getting 4,200 people in your city that you're going to find a place with kitchen and a bathroom. Our desire is not to put children and families in dormitory settings. Our desire is to manage a humanitarian crisis. And when you look at the law, what it was designed to do during that time had nothing to do with getting 4,200 people in a week. We have an 83% increase in our shelter system in a year. 83%. And so we need to all come to the table and say, let's re-examine the laws to see how do we adjust to this issue. And so we want to make sure people are safe. Unlike El Paso, our children and families are not sleeping on the streets. We are feeding thousands of people, over 60,000 that came through our system. Laundry service, the children are being educated, medical service, mental health support, legal advice. What we're doing is unprecedented to any other municipality.
This is Eric Adams. This is your mayor. This is several months ago. Several months ago, around the time that he tweeted. Several months ago, he said, listen, we gonna take care of our immigrants. We down for the cause. Ain't nobody ever did it the way that we do it. Let me show you how it is that we doing it, right? Fast forward. No worries, we gonna fast forward. We gonna get to it. This is Eric Adams the other day, literally less than 48 hours ago. This is your mayor, Eric Adams. Shout out to all of my people in New York. This is your mayor, Eric Adams, the other day. Now remember, let me replay it for you one more time. Eric Adams says we should protect our immigrants, period, Pooh. Yes, New York City will remain a sanctuary city under an Adams administration. Okay, well, let's find out exactly what that means.
We turned this city around in 20 months. And then what happened?
Now remember, this was just the other day, over the weekend. Just the other day.
Started with a madman down in Texas decided he wanted to bus people up to New York City. 110,000 migrants. We have to feed, clothe, house, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets, give them everything they need, health care.
Ain't it funny? He was able to state every single point that he stated right now. Remember the video that I showed y'all from months ago? Shout out to Faith Pope. I'm going to be reading your super chat shortly. I appreciate you. Remember the video? I just played the video where he quoted word for word, back to back to back, this and this exact owner. Clothe, house, feed, do their laundry, educate their children, make sure that they get all of the medical services. He said it in the he's been saying this for so long. He's been saying this for so long, he can quote it to you like it's a Bible scripture. He can quote it to you like it's a Bible scripture. Now remember, they said leave the borders open. We not tripping. Don't build the wall. Forget Trump. All of this other type of stuff, right? Remember that, right? And so the people down in Texas and Florida, they said, okay, well, we want you, because they're not coming in through Canada. They not coming in through Canada. They coming in through Mexico. And so they said, you know what? I tell you what, we going to go ahead and share our immigrants, our migrants with you, Eric Adams, since you already declared yourself to be a sanctuary city and you see some benefit in this and being a hero. You don't want to spend your majority of your time actually paying down the deficit, helping the people in New York City, making sure that you back up the city leaders, make sure that you take care of the police officers, so on and so forth. You said that under an Adams administration, you will remain a sanctuary city, period, Pooh. Okay, well then come on. Let's see how it is that you feel about it.
And this team here, we stated, let's do everything possible before we have to push it out into neighborhoods and communities. Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here.
You know what he said exactly? He said, listen, I want the people to possibly take in some of these migrants and immigrants that are coming in that we can't even identify. Some of these people who was out here getting arrested for causing crime. Some of these people who are literally running away from the law because they're breaking laws and all of this stuff and tearing up the city. He said specifically, I remember I did a live stream on it, that they were advocating for people to even possibly let these migrants inside of their home. That's what he said. He didn't just say it's coming to a neighborhood near you. He said, I want you guys to embrace this the same way that we're embracing it with the city.
We're here. We're getting no support on this national crises, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers.
Did he just throw Biden under the bus? Did he just throw Biden under the bus?
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this.
Oh, no. Under the Adams administration, New York will remain a sanctuary city. Period, Pooh. That's what I see.
I don't see an ending to this.
I'm going to be reading that super chat
This
shortly.
issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
Wait a minute. So it was cool when it was happening to Texas. It was cool when it was happening to California and Arizona. It was cool when it was happening over in Louisiana. It was cool when it was happening to Florida, but it's not cool when it started happening to Texas. No. It was okay not to build the wall. Everybody had something to say about what was going on in all of these other states. It was cool. Remember when you had your millionaires and your billionaires on Billionaire Row, and you could walk through the subway, or you could walk through Central Park and all of this other type of stuff, and you was having a real good time, and you had the Avenue of Fashion, and Michael Jackson didn't have a fro, but he had a Jerry curl. Now the new Michael Jackson look a little different because they a migrant. The new Michael Jackson on the subway look a little different. It was cool to open up our borders. Y'all remember that?
One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border.
No, let your Africans in. Give us free. Giveth us free. Give us free. Give us free. Some of y'all might not be familiar with that movie. Don't worry about it. You'll catch it later.
And coming to New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be.
So now the people are going to have to share in the pain. Services are going to be cut. Jobs are going to have to be laid off. You're going to have to do more with less. See, this is why you should not elect politicians based off of talking points, but you should elect them based off of their public service and their understanding of looking at things from a business perspective. You know why? Because government services have to be ran similarly to a business in order for it to be effective, in order for there not to be waste, in order for us not to redirect our funds to places that it's not supposed to go to, like being an immigration or sanctuary city in order to house immigrants to do things that you wouldn't even do for the people. You caught that, intentional American Amistad. Give us free. Now we want to make sure that everybody get a haircut. All services is going to be cut. I want that to start with you, Mr. Mayor. I want you to take a payroll cut. Whatever it is that you cutting from everybody else, make sure you give yourself a haircut to go along with it. Don't absolve yourself. Be a servant leader, meaning I want you on the front lines with all of your workers.
Be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you ask me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played.
Oh, we passing blame.
How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? How many of you were part of the movement to say, we're seeing what this mayor is trying to do, and they're destroying New York City?
I thought that all of the people were saying, no, we don't want this. Wait. Are we passing blame? See, that's the thing that leaders don't do. Leaders don't pass blame. They don't say, well, how many of you You and you over there and you over there. How many of y'all are the ones that's then determining? Shout out to Amen. I appreciate you. I'm gonna be reading that super chat shortly. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. And they said, listen, Mr. Mayor, we told you that we shouldn't have been a sanctuary city and we should align with the people down there in Texas and Florida and Arizona and California and Louisiana and New Mexico in order to make sure that this wasn't happening in the first place. Now you starting to push blame and you starting to point the finger? Don't you do it, Mr. Eric.
It's going to come to your neighborhoods.
Not scare
All of
tactics.
us are going to be impacted by this.
They know us.
I said it last year when we had 15,000. And I'm telling you now with 110,000.
I just want to know what y'all think. The name of the show is called Never Forget. I'm just curious as to what y'all think. Do you think that this makes sense, and is this aligning with what it is that you expected from your leadership that you elected? You elected. I'm just curious. I'm trying to get the sentiment in the chat. Hey, chat. Don't matter where you're from. You ain't got to just be from New York City. Give me a 1 in the chat if you absolutely think that this is the dumbest thing that you've ever seen in your entire life. Everybody that's in the chat, give me your 1 in the chat. I know the people that's got it on their TV, they can't necessarily type 1. Go ahead, get your mobile device out and put a 1 in the chat if you think that we need new leadership based off of a different set of criteria and that we actually need people to vote based off of being informed instead of being finessed. Shout out to you. I see the ones. Shout out to the people in the chat. We need new leadership. Good God almighty. What the heck is going on out in these streets? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. We're going to go ahead and cook up on the show. I'm going to read the super chats right now. Shout out to all of the ones. Everybody in here think that we need new leadership. Everybody in here said that we need new leadership. And you know where it came back down to? It's all this. It's all this. Everybody in the chat. I see so many ones. I can't even call everybody's name out fast enough for them ones to stop coming up and down the chat. I can't even call everybody's names out for all of the ones that's coming up and down the chat. Let me read some of these. First of all, let me give a shout out to Mark on Cash App. Shout out to Mark on Cash App. Mark sent me the 10 ball. I appreciate you, Mark, for continuing to hold me down. Thank you, my friend. And let me read some of these super chats. Gerald Early says, thank you, Anton, from over here in Hawaii. Shout out to my Hawaiians. I planned on visiting y'all this winter. However, I'm not going to be able to make it because I heard that it's kind of messed up over there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Faith Pope. I appreciate you. Says good morning. Definitely love the show. Thank you, Faith, and I appreciate you for tuning in. Ryan the Don. Shout out to Ryan. Ryan says I was in 10th grade going to Mumford High School. Shout out to my Mumford Mustangs. A lot of my people that was going to Mumford wind up coming from Hanley, or they came from Bobian. Yeah, you ain't know I was familiar with that. Hanley or Bobian. You know, I heard somebody say, Anton ain't really from Detroit. He from Southfield. He from West Bloomfield. He from White Lake. He from Birmingham. He from Grosse Pointe. You couldn't survive in my hood. You would have never made it in my hood. I know you ain't from Detroit. Shout out to my Mumford Mustangs in the building. Ryan and Don says I walked into algebra and saw the buildings on fire on TV and thought it was a movie. I couldn't believe it. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, Ryan and Don, for tapping in and all of my Detroit brethren. Faith says I was 12 years old and in the 7th grade when a September 11th happened. Yeah, see, Faith, you was lucky. You didn't have the responsibility. Hey, let me go ahead and do this real quick. I can't stand haters, especially lady haters. I be wondering to myself, what the heck does these ladies, why do they come over here? I did that myself. Don't worry about it. I did that myself. You know why? And let me say this, and I say this every single show. I never ask for cash apps. I never ask for super chats, but I appreciate the people, so I have to acknowledge you when you do it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for supporting the show, because without you, there is no me. Without you taking at least 2 hours out of my day to cook up for y'all, there is no me. We are not dealing with it in 2023 going forward. Shout out to Faith. I appreciate you, baby girl. Persevere Data TV said it's not Michael anymore. It's Miguel. Miguel is out there water waving. How many drinks does it take for you to leave with me? Girl, you look good. Yo, I love Miguel's album. Shout out to Miguel out there performing on the street in New York City. Shout out to Persevere Data TV. I appreciate you. A-Man says, Anton, you dope. We need to link up. Shout out to you. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Kofi is in the building, says, but I thought Trump was racist for saying that. Shaking my head. You know, it's funny how everything changed. You know, so many people that say that they didn't vote for Biden. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, not even a little bit. Shout out to Lashad Tukes with the 5-ball. Hold me down on Cash App. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me go ahead and continue with the show. Gosh, I don't know where I want to go next. Let's start here. Starting to affect our youth. It's starting to affect our youth. I see it happening all across the board, but I see it starting to affect our youth first. Our youth are the ones that are affected the most by what's happening in the decisions that we're making on a daily basis. Did you know over in Ohio, our youth is starting to mimic the same behavior that they're seeing from the adults when it comes to the prison industrial system and complex that they're now being sent to as a result? Shout out to the executive suite MLE. Shout out to my dog Anwar. I appreciate you holding me down. Shout out to Bitcoin Brown. I'm going to be reading all of those super chats shortly. You guys have always held me down. Don't you know that our youth are the ones that's paying? That's what the Bible, the word said it, the word predicted it, the word told you that it was going to happen and you didn't heed it because you thought that the word didn't apply to you. The words say the children are going to be the ones that pay for the sins of their fathers, for their parents, for the people that don't do the thing that's in the best interest of the ones that come after them or for them. Yes, the children, the cheering. That's what y'all called them at the table with Big Mama. Big Mama said it's the cheering. The cheering are the ones that's going to pay for the sins of their fathers and their mothers. They are. Well, guess what's happening over in Ohio? Shout out to my Ohioans.
That is shocking new video from a juvenile detention center in Ohio. Surveillance video, some of it sped up, showing the moment a dozen youth inmates took over a facility, destroying security cameras and even threatening staff members with makeshift weapons. This uprising just the latest in a string of violent incidents at that facility. Jesse Kirsch with the video and the new details.
Tonight, our first look at dramatic video from inside an Ohio correctional facility, showing the chaotic moments teenage inmates overtook the facility.
The kids are running the place. Our hands are tied.
Officials say last October, 12 youth inmates stole keys from a staff member and broke out of their rooms at the Indian River Juvenile Correctional Facility. The newly released surveillance footage capturing the chaos on camera. Teens smashing computers, trashing rooms, and even destroying security cameras before barricading themselves in a classroom, threatening staff with makeshift weapons.
What's going on, y'all? Ain't this what y'all wanted? Remember F the police? Remember when y'all was going off on Rick Ross for being a correctional officer and said that he was a snitch? Remember when you wanted to go and have children out of wedlock and y'all got mad at me because I said that you can't afford children and you need to go back home with your baby daddy? Now the teens are literally grooming themselves for when they transfer over into a regular prison. The youth are now beating up and taking the keys from the guards and barricading themselves in, making sure that they tear up shop class and destroying everything that they can get their hands on. And I'm going to even shoot them some bail. It ain't even their fault. It's not their fault. Don't blame it on the government. Don't blame it on government cheese. Don't blame it on the prison industrial complex. Don't blame it on prison for profit. Listen, these are the future baby mamas and daddies of you going forward. This is your baby daddy. This is your daughter's baby daddy. They gonna get out of jail and they gonna say, it ain't no good men out here. It ain't no good men out here. This is your future daughter's baby daddy that's in here tearing up and taking over the prison system in order to prepare themselves for when it is that they go over there with Fleece. You know why the Fleece interview is so important? Shout out to Real. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. You know why the Fleece interview was so important? Is because it's supposed to be something that changes your perspective about what it is that you can expect when you go into prison. See, nowadays, we don't see anybody having a conversation about all of these prisoners going live on Instagram and TikTok, showing that they having a party and having a good time. They running marathons. They getting fit. Y'all keep saying go to prison in order to lose weight. You can get conjugal visits. They got phones, iPads. They smoking trees. They got drug addictions. How you gonna have a drug addiction in prison? They getting frisky with each other. They making this prison seem like it's fun thing. So then when I put out a video and I say, okay, well, this is what it's really like. Let me have a conversation with somebody that was only supposed to do 12 years, got locked up when they was 16 years old, and then they wound up doing over 40 years. Y'all thought it was a joke. Y'all thought it was a joke. Y'all got mad at me and said, Anton, why you keep putting this out here to be visible to the people? And I keep saying you need to have your son and your daughter watch this because this is not what they want to grow up to be like. This is absolutely the type of content that we need to be putting out for the people.
Special response team moves in with pepper spray, bringing the standoff to an end after an agonizing 12 hours, resulting in what officials say was nearly $300,000 in damage. One staff member who spoke anonymously to NBC's Cleveland affiliate not shocked by the violent outburst.
Surprising to me, no. I mean, I see the stuff every day. The public doesn't realize it, but anybody that works there does.
This uprising coming just days after officials say a corrections officer was brutally attacked by a young inmate at this same facility.
A corrections officer was brutally attacked. So now they have to be overglorified babysitters to your children. And these kids is causing over $300,000 in damage to the prison industrial complex, only to be taking up our tax dollars going forth. And you're telling me that the things that we do in this society is right? It makes sense that we should not embrace other cultural norms in order to try to fix what's going on in our own households? And see, here's the thing. It's not just black people no more. It's white people. It's Indians. You know, I was in my hotel room on Saturday night in order to take my flight for Sunday because I flew into Tampa. And I was watching a documentary on TV. I hadn't seen regular TV in a long time. Did you know, according to this documentary, that Indians are actually the ones that are killed more by the police than any other group? So when they sell you this narrative, and I don't know if it's true or not, right? I didn't back it up. It was in a documentary. I'm not just going to take their word for it, but it sounded like something to be true. And then I looked it up on Google, right? And Google and several sites that actually was credible was substantiating the same argument. Did you know that Indians, American Indians, you know, the ones that's on the reservation, the ones that got pushed out of their own lands, the ones that really got taken over before they started importing black people over here in order to build up the country. Did you know that they were the ones that were most likely to die, hurt, and killed by police officers than any other group? Native Indians are more affected, assaulted, and killed by police officers than any other group. But they will push this narrative over to you and tell you that it's 13.6% of the population in order to keep you running in the Victim Olympics.
I felt tugging and punching and hitting, but I couldn't see where it was there because he had hit me on this side of my face.
According to our affiliate, the attack was sending David Upshaw into kidney and heart failure as he spent 3 weeks in the hospital.
Just by the grace of God, you know, I didn't die or get injured worse.
This wave of violence leading to calls for change. Last year, the Ohio Department of Youth Services implemented new safety protocols, including body cameras and pepper spray for some staff members.
They're afraid to use the pepper spray because then they're under investigation, and numerous ones have been put out or quit or left or had the pepper spray taken away from them because they've used it.
They're afraid to use the pepper spray. The weapons that are needed in order to start to get these things. And, you know, kids ain't dumb. People ain't dumb. They know that you're going to be under investigation. They know that they can tell their parents and call their mama, and your mama going to come up to the prison and say, You are doing my baby wrong. The same way that y'all come up to the schools. See, you condition them in the schools in order to go into the youth facilities and the detention centers. And then you then prepare them. Shout out to Kofi. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. And then you prepare them to then go over to the prison industrial complex only so that we can then house them and make sure that they're taken care of all the rest of their life with our tax dollars. And so they already know. They give you the tools. They can't even use the tools in order to get your kids in order so that they can have a better life and not never run back up into the prison ever again. But then the actual correctional officers are leaving and they're afraid to use it because they will then be under investigation based off of their kid telling on you in order to get you in trouble.
Some employees say staffing shortages are leading to a rise in these violent incidents. According to the Department of Youth Services, the number of assaults increased over the same time period from 2020 to 2021 and again from 2021 to 2022.
They can't keep the new staff in. The new staff come in and see what things are happening and haven't dealt with this kind of situation or worked this kind of work before, are scared and they quit and leave.
And according to our affiliate, some of the teens told investigators they planned this uprising because they felt they'd been spending too much time in their private rooms and not enough time in common areas. That's a consequence of staffing problems. But this is hardly just an issue in Ohio. Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Louisiana are also among the states that have seen issues with the conditions in juvenile facilities recently because of staffing problems. Tom?
That's unfortunate. It's very, very much unfortunate that we are now in a situation where the inmates is running the asylum. And it's not just even the inmates. It's the youth inmates that's now telling you what to do. They telling you how to police them. They're telling you how to police them. What country do we live in? Are we in Nigeria? What country do we live in? I have no clue where I'm at right now. I am so confused as to what country that I'm in right now, to where the inmates are now running the asylum and telling us exactly what it is that we're supposed to be doing as far as how we supposed to police them after they get in trouble and we got to use our tax dollars in order to make sure that they're taken care of. Let me read some of the super chats and then we're going to get it popping. We got other things that we got to cover today, ladies and gentlemen. Executive Suite MLE is in the building, says it's a money play. EA was on a news show weeks earlier. Eric Adams was on a news show weeks earlier. They asked, how much money do you need from Biden? He said 12 billion. It's not as bad as you think. I believe that, but he can't admit that. He can't then bring himself to the front of the congregation in order to say that. Anwar says, Anton, I think it's time Black America divests from the Democrats. Our community is too fragile and our awakening for migrants due to dilute our impacts. Here's the thing. I don't think it's just have anything to do with Democrats. I think that just as much as Democrats are, there are bad Republicans also. And so I think that we need to vet each individual candidate in order to make an informed decision on who's going to work in the best interest of the people, not just what party that they align with. Shout out to Anwar. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you, my friend. Bitcoin Brown says, AD, when we getting pink sweats exclusive. Shout out to Pink Sweats. Real says, 9/11 was my first day in the Army. One hell of a welcome. And I bet you didn't know what you was really signing up for either. Real talk. Kofi, shout out to Kofi Ansah, says, Anton, regarding Ohio, did you see the chick that was shoplifting alcohol while pregnant and got shot by the police? It's so sad. I did not. Send that to me. Email me, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com, and then I'm going to go and check that out. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Thank you for continuing to hold me down. Shout out to Lashad Tukes. Sent that fireball on Cash App. I appreciate you, Lashad. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's continue over. Diddy. Before we get into the U.S. debt and why the United States of America refuses to pay down their debt, let's start talking about Diddy. Take that. Now, I'm going to be covering Diddy today. I covered him on Friday, and I'm going to also cover him tomorrow. Because tomorrow I want to talk about everybody whining about this whole publishing, him giving all of his artists back publishing. All right? So I'm going to deal with that. But today, I want to put out there exactly what it is that he communicated during InvestFest. Now on Friday, Diddy spoke candidly about the idea that he never actually owned Ciroc. He actually owns Delion. But for over 15 years, they sold us on the idea that we were supporting a black business, which is why I keep telling y'all to stop focusing on what it is that's being sold to you. Instead, focus on the thing that's best for you, right? But he basically revealed that, listen, I was a high-paid Instagram model, an Instagram influencer, and I have nothing against Diddy. I think that he's actually doing some actually really good things in society, but we'll get to that tomorrow when we get to the controversy. Diddy was nothing more than a high-paid influencer to get you to buy something based off of the idea that they thought that you were supporting your own, right? And so he laid out his grievances with Diageo, and now he's speaking specifically about the illusion of being a billionaire. The illusion of being a billionaire. I have not seen this video. This video was sent to me. We are going to review it together. Make sure that you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Shout out to Diddy.
Let's get into this Diageo situation, right? So I want to talk about the relationship with Diageo. So this lawsuit that you brought against them.
And let me also give a shout out to them boys over there at Earn Your Leisure, including Master Investor, which is a really, really dope guy. Them boys did their thing. I don't think that they get enough credit for the events that they put on, for all of the different people that they pulled out. Kathy Wood, Diddy, you know what I'm saying? They didn't just pull out celebrities. They pulled out institutional investors. They had all of the vendors there. They created the environment for y'all to be able to network more effectively, get certain information in order to bring you up. And it's funny because me and Erica Williams, we were talking over there on the couch, and we was having some conversations about that. But that is going to be dropped inside of the Patreon, the video that me and Erica Williams did. It is being edited as we speak. So make sure that you guys tune into that inside of the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let me go ahead and get into the video. These boys over at Earn Your Leisure be putting in that work.
Them, right? People might not know, but I think Pharrell was the actual first one to sue Diageo, and it was for unfair treatment. So you had a historic relationship with them 15 years going back to...
Wait. Is this the video? Hold on. I want to make sure. I don't think that this is the video. This is the video that... Give me a second. I want to make sure that I get the right video. Give me 1 second. I got to make sure that I got the right video. I don't want to play the wrong video. All right, so let me get this video instead. Let me get this video instead. Let's do this. Bam. I don't know how that happened. All right, so there's the video. Let's rock.
As far as, I believe there's like 13 black billionaires in America. You're one of them. It's almost an impossible feat to accomplish.
Wait, hold on, wait. There's no claps for that? That should be standing to your feet.
Before we get into this video, let me ask y'all a question. How many of y'all actually believe? Let me ask a different question. Do you know how people evaluate whether or not somebody is a billionaire? Because it's not for me to judge. I'm not the type of person that's going to sit here and say whether you are a billionaire or you're not a billionaire. The video was sent to me based off of what's being communicated, and the title of the video was that it's an illusion of inclusion. It's an illusion of inclusion. So my question then to y'all is, do you know how they justify what your net worth is? Do you even know what a net worth is? Right? Your net worth, to look at it from a C student's perspective, is how much you have in assets. It does not matter whether it's an appreciating asset or depreciating asset. You can reevaluate exactly what your status is from a financial perspective regularly, right? Your house can improve in equity. You can get more equity in a house because you're paying off the mortgage, and plus the value of the home itself continues to go up. And so it's all assets, including cash, property, anything that you can sell, watches, cars, money that you got in your bank, 401k, company that you own, valuation based off of the amount that you own of it, right? How do you know whether or not somebody is a billionaire, a millionaire, 100 millionaire, decamillionaire, millionaire, 100,000aire, dollar millionaire? How do you know? Because it's all of your assets minus your liabilities. Assets minus liabilities. So if I own a home, let me break it down for you just from a simple perspective so that we have context before we start watching this video, because I don't want you to watch this video and think that you know based off of the stuff that was taught to you. Unlearn it. Unlearn it. All right? So here's the thing. Assets minus liabilities. Liabilities can be anything that you owe money on. It could be credit card debt. It could be debt that you have in your home. It could be you upside down in your loan on your car. It could be anything. It could be money that you own into the IRS. It could be payday loans. It could be all of that, right? And so a lot of times we'll look at a car, and let's say a person owns a car. Let's say they own a Mercedes, right? And that Mercedes is a $100,000 Mercedes. Let's say it costs $100,000 with the value of that Mercedes, just for all intents and purposes, that the value of that Mercedes is $100,000. Well, what if you owe 105? But then that means that you have a negative net worth if you were to only say that that's the only thing that I have. I don't have anything else. I don't have no cash. I don't have no watches. I don't have no savings. Only thing I own is this car. I live with my mama. But that means that if you're upside down and you owe 105, but the car is worth 100, then you have a negative $5,000 net worth. Okay? Let's say that the car is worth $100,000, but you owe $50,000 on you. You put $40,000 down, you pay $10,000 into it, however much the car was worth. Now it depreciated, and so it's worth $100,000, but you owe $50,000 on it. If you sold it today, you can come out positive $50,000. It's the same thing with your house, right? A lot of you say, I own my house. You really don't. Because if you die today, then they can call that mortgage, right? They can call that mortgage in and then be able to sell the house or whatever, so on and so forth, right? It's a process. Trust me, I've dealt with it before. And so what happens is you have to start justifying how much you owe on that house minus the equity that you have in it. So let's say the house is worth $500,000 and you owe $300,000 on it. Then that means that you're plus $200,000 and that your net worth, if you own nothing else, is $200,000. So now take everything that you have, your watches, your 401k, the money that you have in the bank, the businesses that you owe. How we evaluate net worth, it's a simple, and then it can get into a complicated, right? Because then you want to evaluate if you own a business, how much is that business worth? Well, one of the ways in which you evaluate how much a business is worth is A, you have to make sure that you don't have any debt in it. So if you don't have any loans or whatever, so on and so forth, that you had to take out on it, then that's one thing, right? Also, is worth a certain amount of multiple of what it is that you're profitable every single year. That's how much the business is worth, right? All of the equipment that you bought for it. Do you owe money on it? So on and so forth. So net worth is how they then judge these people as far as saying this is how much money that they have. A lot of us think this is how much money they got in the bank. It's not. Elon Musk's net worth. Elon Musk's net worth is largely tied to his ownership in Tesla and SpaceX and Twitter. And so you evaluate how much those companies is worth. You take how much he actually has in equity in those companies, and that's how you can tell whether or not he's a billionaire, millionaire, whatever, so on and so forth, right? So when we evaluating net worth, that's how we substantiate how much a person has. It's not how much money they have in cash. You may be liquid. If you sold everything today, this is how much money would be to your name. But very few people actually have any amount of cash because that does not make more money for them. So let's go ahead and play the video and let's evaluate this now that we have more information, because again, it's your net worth, not how much money you have in the bank. Okay?
Black billionaire. You kidding me? Everybody should be up.
Wow.
That's crazy. You know where he's from? New York.
Yo, we can never normalize being a billionaire.
Not an everyday thing, man.
By the way, we know almost all of them.
Yeah. Also true.
That's a fact. We'll have another one tomorrow. That's a fact. Finesses only. Yeah.
I wanna be careful with that, y'all. When they talk about us having money and y'all look at us, it's truly an illusion of inclusion.
We'll talk about that.
I can't play a part of the illusion of inclusion. So you looking here at me like I'm totally included. No, I'm fighting for the same thing I was fighting for when I got into the game, but it's at another level. And so it's very important to understand this is the truth. Out of all the billionaires in the world got almost 9 billion people in it. There's only 16 black billionaires. So that's the illusion. So every time, you know, yeah, it feels good for one of us to get in, two to get in, but we got to stop taking the crumbs. It's time for way more of us out of 9 billion. I want 2 billion to be billionaires. I don't want to.
Let me count the ways in which I can break this down and slice this up for you guys. Let me count the ways in which I can break this down and slice this up for you guys. 2 billion billionaires. Okay. This is how we sell each other. Right? And it's not fun to tell people the truth. It's not fun to tell people the truth. You know what the truth is? There's no way in the world there could be 2 billion billionaires. The value of the money, the value of being a billionaire wouldn't be a billionaire. That would be the new middle class. And then you would need trillionaires in order to be able to separate yourself. Here's the fact. In order for there to be 16 black billionaires, or however billionaires in general, it's going to have to be a whole lot of dollar millionaires. You know why they keep saying that they need more children is because we need more workers. We need more Starbucks workers. We need more warehouse workers. We need more truck drivers. We need people to do the regular jobs. That's why they celebrate regular. Don't y'all know that that's how they celebrate regular? See, the dream is the hope. The hope is that I can tell you that it's possible for you to do it, even though I know that you'll never even come close to it. Why? Because it keeps you a part of the hamster wheel, and they need people to believe, otherwise they wouldn't work as hard or as feverishly or grind as much as they're supposed to grind. So what is the truth? What is the truth? Before we get into this, what is the truth? The truth is this. There can only be so many billionaires. There can only be so many decamillionaires. There could only be so many before we start to devalue what it means to be a billionaire and a millionaire. But here's the caveat. There's a caveat in there, right? And that's why we need context. The caveat is that you don't have to be the one that's the broke one and the dollar millionaire for the rest of your life. Now, I understand that everybody can't be a millionaire or a decamillionaire. Here's the key. Because I know that everybody can't be that, I'd prefer for it to just be you instead of the rest of the people that's not a part of the bag chasers or is not watching the Millionaire Morning Show. So, because I know that there's going to be a certain demographic of people that tap in because they are going to do the thing that's best for themselves, I'll give you the information in order for you to level up. What you take and do with it is going to be up to you. There's going to be a segment of the people that watch the show that take it, level up, become a better version of themselves, and take off. It's going to be a segment of the population that look at it for entertainment. They're going to take it. They're going to set it on the shelf. They're not going to do nothing with it. They're going to be a regular worker, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure that my Starbucks is hot. You see what I'm saying? And so it's important for them to sell you on it because they have to keep the real illusion, the real trick. The real trick is for them to tell you that they want everybody to do it. It wouldn't make them unique. It wouldn't make them special. It wouldn't make them real. The truth is, I'd prefer that you get it instead of anybody else get it because you're my tribe. That's the truth.
Nothing less for myself or my people.
That's why I was going to ask you, as far as being such in rare space, who do you talk to? Like, I know obviously it's you and Jay, a few other people, but very few people can relate to the challenges, to the struggles, to the financial difficulties, different things of that nature that happen at that level.
Fentanyl public relations, that is a fact. Diddy his new hairline is crisp. Hey, shout out to having money in order to be able to fix these regular people issues. Shout out to having money in order to fix regular people issues.
Somebody said something that was very interesting to us one time. We was talking about a person that's extremely successful and his former friend, and they like, well, you never think about the winner's perspective. Everybody always sympathizes with the loser, but what about the winner? What about things that he has to go through, the trauma that he has? So what is that for you, knowing that you're one of 12 people in America? Like, who do you talk to? How's that social circle? How is it being in that environment?
I'm never one to count somebody's money. That's just not what I do. That's not my thing, but I have to pose a question because this is a subject that's being presented based off of here. How many of y'all actually know, or are we all just assuming? Because it's not like any billionaire is ever going to come back and say, nah, I'm not really a billionaire. I'm only a millionaire. The only person that I've ever seen do that and be honest about it was Ye. The only person that I've ever seen come back and say, yo, they took this from me, and so my valuation has dropped dramatically because I no longer have ownership in this company, and they saying that I don't even own the company at all, was Ye. And when he did it, everybody killed him for it. So how many people was actually going to come back and say, you got my valuation wrong, or I don't even really know how much it is? Like, he very well may be a billionaire, but here's my question. How do we know? Based off of what? How do we know? How do we know? I'm never to evaluate how much money somebody has. Whatever it is that they say, I'm just going to rock with it. But how do we know?
Some of the challenges, like, how does that actually look for you?
I mean, it's definitely lonely. It's not a lot of people to talk to. I mean, I talk to Jay or some other friends, but it's, I mean, when I look at it, I just know the truth that it's not enough wealth being spread around, you know. And so I'm at this point, and that's what energizes me. I don't really look at it, you know, as far as like, okay, I'm a billionaire. I'm more like, my people are not doing good. Yes, I'm blessed to be a billionaire, but at the same time, you know, if my people aren't doing good, then I can't be settled.
Because we talked to Nas, and he was saying, like, you know, he's been doing a lot of venture capital investing, and he's been killing it. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, the higher up he moves, the more discouraged he gets.
Yeah.
Because he's into different circles now, and he's aware of information. He's realized that how much money is out there and how little money we have, where he didn't really fully understand that before. So it's an interesting paradigm, right? The higher up you move, the more discouraged you get, because you're seeing it from a different perspective. Like, you're seeing it from the mountain as opposed to seeing it from the street.
Yeah. So
do they got on pajamas? Is this the nighttime? I'm guessing that this is like the nighttime show. I'm assuming that this is like a theme for the show. I wasn't there, so I can't really evaluate it, but I'm assuming that this is just a nighttime show. I'm going to break this down in a minute.
So just sitting here, this is 30 years of experience of seeing things at a level that, you know, most people haven't seen it at. And so it's important that I tell people the truth. That's why I say, like, the time is now. No one is coming to save us, because I'm at that mountain and I'm seeing the oppression that's still at that level. And because they put us in the media like we're doing so good, y'all don't feel that level of the stoppage of creating wealth. So when it gets up to that point and we talk about generational wealth, we're fighting just to get like normal wealth. But we're so caught up in like, okay, a billionaire or this or that we're not understanding that once you get to that level, there's even more obstacles that are ahead of you. To kind of say my experience in that is, I want to tell you about this story about me running the marathon. So I decided to run the marathon, and I decided like 6 weeks before the marathon. Yeah, I was crazy.
Yeah, I actually seen that. I'm gonna break it down. I want him to talk a little bit more, but I'm gonna break down what he's saying.
I
remember they was documenting it on MTV, and he was like partying, and then he said he was gonna run a marathon. I remember this happening.
I trained 8 months. I only ran like 10 days before. You know, I was partying the days before. And on the 10th mile, I hit a wall. And I felt like I was literally going to die. And I wanted to stop. I hit that level. I hit that ceiling in business. But I had to keep going. So I'm in pain. I'm struggling. But I had to keep going. And that's kind of a metaphor, you know, for my life and for everybody who is in here that's on the road of being an entrepreneur. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to hit these obstacles, and there's different levels, there's different miles, there's different levels of intensity. And so I was able to make it and finish the marathon, and I was able to kind of take that with me and apply it to business. And so, you know, at this point, you know, in the position that I'm in, I had to really look at, like, what does, you know, the next half of my life look like? And I had to really, really, really look at what I wanted to do and make sure that I finished this marathon the right way. Because me just completing the race, that ain't what I want to do. I want to win the race.
Hey, how do we let these, respectfully, and I got a lot of respect for Diddy and his ability to market and his business sense and how he's continued to stay relevant through every single decade that I've been alive, it seems like. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for his business acumen, believe it or not. I mean, a dude that never actually graduated but now has a degree, an honorary degree from Howard, through parties, wound up starting his own record label, found some of the best artists, managed to navigate through the whole East Coast, West Coast beef, all of that stuff, right? I have a tremendous amount of respect for Diddy and the fact that he stays relevant. He knows how to market himself a bit effectively, and he's a phenomenal businessman. Here's my question, though. As I sit here and I listen to this, right? How do we let these people sell us on buying liquor? How do we get these people to sell us on buying a record? Honestly, like it seems as though he's making it up as he go. He's trying to give people a level of inspiration, that there's no real gems in there, right? It doesn't seem like anything there. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you saying? So maybe he just networks effectively, whatever, so on and so. But how do we let these people convince us that we were supposed to buy their liquors? Honestly. And look, I already know, man. Look, it's not popular for me to do this. Anton is over here looking for $30 million in order to get my show popping the way that I'm saying it. Yo, listen, honestly, I believe that I could communicate more effectively than they can. I know that it's going to be lonely for me because I'm alienating myself to an extent by having these conversations and asking the uncomfortable questions. How did we let these people sell us on buying all of these products throughout the years? How do we let these people sell us on buying Sean John? We was over there with the baggy jeans and the velour sweatsuits and stuff like that. How do we do that? How? I'm going to have to deep dive into this a little bit more because I'm genuinely curious of how making a band let that man talk them into going to get that cheesecake. How did Babs Bunny walk all of that 10 miles in order to get that cheesecake? Enes, hit me up. Fred, hit me up. Dylon. Is Chopper City still around? Sarah from Making the Band. MTV Making the Band. How did this man convince y'all to fight on TV? Farnsworth. Hit me up, Farnsworth. How did this man convince you to put that umbrella above his head? Special delivery, I want that. Special delivery, I need that. Special delivery, can I have that? Special delivery. did they? How? I am curious. How? You listening to it the way that I'm listening to it. I'm just curious.
I want to win the race. I want us to win the race.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it's 30 years of business for you.
Yeah.
It's 50 years of hip hop. When we met, you looked at us and you said, I love y'all brothers because what y'all been able to do, we've never been able to do in hip hop. And that's make it cool to be educated. So when
Hey, Rita, get Farnsworth Bentley on the phone. I need that interview ASAP. I need that Farnsworth Bentley before I fly out to Dallas and have to go and do this show. I need to know. I need to know. Hold on. Let me play some more of this. Just
I wonder, when you look at the landscape from your perspective, right, because you are at a different level, do you feel encouraged about this movement of financial power, financial literacy, financial education that you're seeing?
I mean, I love what you guys are doing. The beauty about everybody here is they took that step.
I need to know how he got Farnsworth to do this. Somebody get Farnsworth on the phone so I can know how he got Farnsworth to do this. Farnsworth. My particular cuter guy says, Anton, your particular mind ain't open enough to receive the how. I would like to know. I would love for somebody to tell me, how is it that we got how did this man get an umbrella holder? And then why did Making the Band make Farnsworth Bentley an umbrella holder who had no business acumen and no ability to market anybody? Why did y'all let the umbrella holder manage y'all? How did he become y'all manager? Of all the managers, you never read y'all contract. Y'all bullied Sarah into doing the contract. We went over here. We went to Justin's. We went and got cheesecake, the whole 9 yards. And nobody is going to ask the uncomfortable question but me. So I'm the only person? Am I the only person that's going to ask the uncomfortable question? I'm just curious. Nobody is going to ask the uncomfortable question but me. Nobody? Let's go back to the interview. I want to get back to the part that he's talking. Hold on.
Perspective, right? Because you are at a different level. Do you feel encouraged about this movement of financial power, financial literacy, financial education that you're seeing?
Yo, it's funny because I was looking at Ryan Leslie. Now, Ryan Leslie is a very, very smart person. I don't know if y'all remember, but when I was coming up, Ryan Leslie used to do these videos on YouTube, and it was like the making of his music. Then he brought Cassie in. It started off with the kiss. My addiction. I seen Ryan Leslie in there. When I look into the mirror, baby, you are all I see. And he used to make these videos, right? They was so sick. Go to Ryan Leslie's addiction, making of addiction or whatever, and he was in the studio. And then I heard, okay, well, Ryan Leslie graduated from Harvard, allegedly. I think it's Harvard, right? Ryan Leslie graduated from Harvard. This nigga Ryan Leslie let Diddy finesse him out of Cassie and all that money. Ryan Leslie did a partnership and then basically was the leapfrog from Cassie, and Diddy was like, let me get that, Ryan. Yeah, we gonna do an album together, but let me get that Cassie up out of you. How did Ryan Leslie, a Harvard graduate, a symphony orchestra, Nipsey Hussle largely modeled his business practices after Ryan Leslie in order to be able to make as much money as he did. But Ryan Leslie was able to let Diddy finesse him out of the bag and Cassie at the same time. How is this possible? I'm listening to it right now. Okay, let me listen to some more.
I mean, I love what you guys are doing. The beauty about everybody here is they took that step. Everybody here, y'all took that step. Y'all took accountability to come here and learn. Give yourselves a round of applause. Nobody's hiding the knowledge. There's not like no secret conspiracy that they're hiding the knowledge. You have to make a decision that you want to be financially literate. You have to make that.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then why are we sitting here acting like it's an illusion of wealth when it's really just a choice? The thing that I'm taking from this whole conversation is if Diddy can do it, listen, it's no reason why at the end of my journey that I should not be a billionaire. If Diddy is able to do it, I know I could do it. If Diddy is able to do it, he just literally said there is no knowledge that you don't know. There's nothing else. So basically you're telling me it's networking, it's being intentional, it's stand down, it's marketing myself effectively. Is that what you're telling me? Okay, let me hear what the rest of you got to say. Let me hear the speech.
Decision. And so, you know, seeing you guys be successful, being able to support y'all, and seeing so many people come out and changing the narrative to the importance of being financially literate is something that I gotta honestly say you guys are responsible for. You guys are responsible for that shift. So I applaud you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, give me some game. You know, this. Tell me how we can do it differently. What should we be doing differently? And you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm in church right now. You know how you go to church and you hear the good speech and you say, yeah, give yourself a round of applause. You did it. You made it. You made the decision to come in here today in order to get the Holy Ghost saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. Make sure you pass the collection plate, Pastor. It's almost like, okay, so I'm going to be hyped up when I leave. I seen Diddy. Yeah, we had the concert, Free Ciroc on us, whatever, so on and so forth, right? Now tell me what it is that I need to do differently when I leave here so that I can have a better life than I was before I came. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me something, fam. And I think that InvestFest was an awesome event based off of the things that I heard that was communicated to me by people that was there. I heard it was an awesome event, but it had to be intentional. You had to network. You had to participate. You had to do things differently. It's funny. Me and Erica Williams had a conversation about the comparison between the events that Patrick Bet-David put on for Valuetainment and what they doing over at InvestFest and what the expectations of the people are. Make sure y'all tapped into the Patreon. It's absolutely going to be a great conversation.
I want to. Can I circle back to something though? Because I want to make sure I give you the true answer.
Please do.
So he's talking about levels, and I kind of just got it right now. Even though the levels in the marathon, it goes together. But there's a level that you get to, and you're successful, and you get to the point of being successful. And as a black person, there's this thing that kicks in. There's this jealousy that kicks in. There's this fear that kicks in. Then they start to burn things down. Then they start to take the money out the Freedom Bank. Then they go back on the 40 acres and a mule. What? Then we don't deserve our worth. So even Hov, Jay, none of us are immune to it. He had to sue Bacardi to get his worth. Like they make us at the next level. You think that you've overcome everything. Oh, I finally made it. And then there's a whole nother army up there that is there to try to push you down the hill. And that's why from being at the mountaintop, I could come back down and tell y'all the only way out of this is if we can unify and combine our forces. Because what's waiting for you up there
and then he gave us the mic drop. He ain't finished it. It was a run-on sentence. Hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me back up. I gotta back up.
What's the difference between selling on a marketplace?
Hold on. Let me come back to that. Give me a second. I gotta get the mic drop moment. Give me a second. Hold on.
As far as I believe there's like 13
and combine our forces, because what's waiting for you up there
What? And then he just looked at us in the camera like, you get it? No, homie, I missed it. I don't get it. Somebody, listen, I'm a C student. Somebody tell me, like, I do have premium, but this is on this. Yes, I do have YouTube Premium. But this is on a different piece of software. This ain't got nothing to do with my YouTube Premium. Y'all want me to show y'all my YouTube Premium too? Honestly, I'm just like, what? Somebody fill me in. All right, let me just play it one more time to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Because I might have missed some gems. Honestly. Honest to God, I might have missed some gems.
If we can unify and combine our forces, because what's waiting for you up there
I'm so confused, bro. And I know that it's just me. Honest to God, y'all. Seriously. I know that it's just me. And so I know that I'm the person that's confused, and it's my fault. It's my fault that I just don't get it. So I'm more than willing for you guys to break it down for me and help me to understand what the heck did I just hear here. All right? And you know what the funniest thing about this whole thing for me is, honestly? It's to look at y'all in the chat. And y'all are some of y'all are just absolutely out of your minds. Because then people are sitting here, like, it's a couple people in there like, Anton, you just not reading in between the lines. You not picking up what he's saying. There's some things that he can't say because the Illuminati is going to knock him down. It's so deep. No, it's not that deep. It's not deep. You overstand, Anton? No, I don't overstand. Can you please break it down to me like a little child? Listen, this is what I tell people in my meetings at work. I'm not that smart. Everybody in here is smarter than me. I tell everybody at work, I am not that smart. You guys are much, much smarter than me. You're more educated than me. You can articulate yourselves more effectively than me, so on and so forth. Talk to me like I'm a little child. They don't pay me more than everybody else in this room because I'm the smartest. They pay me more because I can take the information and then utilize it more effectively than you. So you over there, you're a developer, you're a project manager, you're the scrum master, you're the product owner, you're the person that's the voice of the people, you the back-end developer, you the front-end developer, and you the UX architect. What is it that I'm missing, and why can't we understand how you guys can communicate more effectively, and why can't you communicate with you? And then I'm the person that brings people together because I make everybody understand it on a very, very basic level, and that's why I'm the C student. My talent is being able to break the information down from a C student's perspective and ask the uncomfortable questions that very few people are able to ask. I need to know, what is it that I'm understanding, understanding, and overstanding, and according to my dog, Dr. Umar Johnson, what am I missing? What am I missing? Team, explain it to me. No, that doesn't make sense. Dumb it down. Oh, so you was just using a bunch of big words because you didn't know what you was talking about because you didn't do your assignment. Okay, can you please go back to the drawing board because we're depending on you in order for you to get your job done because you're holding up the rest of the organization from being able to do what they do. The sprint is going to be delayed. Now we have to depend on you because you thought that you were explaining something that you wasn't really saying. You was using them. I don't understand it, bro. I am always so confused. You're not going to sit here and tell me that I missed it. oh, it's so deep. It's just way more finessable than that. No, it's not. Tell me what it is that I missed so that I can really be able to consume it, implement it, and then place it and put it into flight so that I can change my family's life. I need to know it. We need to combine like Voltron and combine our forces. I'll be sitting there like, what? What do you mean? I watched the Power Rangers. I remember when they came together. I remember when the Ninja Turtles got themselves together because, I remember. You're not going to sit here and finesse me. You know what I'm saying? God ain't through with me yet. I'm sorry. God is trying to tell me something, and he ain't through with me yet, all right? Let me read. Y'all got to excuse me. Y'all got to excuse me, man. Just excuse me. I'm going to read the super chat shortly. Melvin Johnson, shout out to my dog Mel, says, what Bernie Mac say? I'll kick a little kid's A. I'll kick a little kid's A. Shout out to Mel Johnson. I appreciate you. Michael is called Pimp. P-I-M-P, ology, but logically be learning these hoes biology and obviously, well, D-I. Do you want to ride in the backseat of the caddy and chop it up with do or die? Do you want to ride in the backseat of the caddy and chop it up with do or die? OPM. Love to the hoes in the BM, 60 grams, between on the weed stem. Move to the back so I can see who beeping his pole pimp. Read to this hole with a slow limp. Shout out to my Chicago people in the building. Shout out to my Cleveland people. Twista was actually the first one to do it. Twista was the first one to do it. You know what I'm saying? Then we had Bone Thugs and Harmony, and then Twista put the Do or Die and all of them. Whoa, whoa, ride. Do you want to ride with me? Baby, take a ride with me. Then we had, what do we have? Hey, in the middle of the barn. Then we had Biggie that came in. With Notorious, armed and dangerous. Ain't too many that can hang with us. Straight off, we no angel us. Label us notorious. Thug ass niggas that a lot of us and stranger us. No, we can be gambling. Have a restaurants with mandolins and violins. We just sitting here trying to win, trying not to sin. High off weed and lots of gin. So much smoke need oxygen. Said he counting them Benjamins. Nigga, you should too if you knew what this game would do to you. Been in this shit since 92. Look at all the bullshit I've been through. So-called beef with you know who. Fuck a few female stars or two. Me and my dogs love the buck shit. I got a show to do, and I can't be cussing, and so I'll be having to mute my words and try to skip over stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let me continue. Adam Jam is in the building, says selling the illusion of material lifestyle. Shout out to Adam. Shout out to Adam in the building, Adam Jam. Shout out to my dog Adam in the building. This is the greatest morning show on earth. I appreciate you, Adam. Let me continue over with a few more super chats, and then we're going to get into the next part of the show. Let me see. Ryan Leslie is different. He wasn't different enough to get finessed out of Cassidy. That's for sure. John Wick is in the building, says Puffy not giving no actionable advice. Puffy not giving no actionable advice. Because he doesn't actually know business and finance the way that he claims. He's simply in a field that has fast money. His accountants make all of the finance move for him. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Julius Jermaine is in the building with the fireball. Says shout out to Anton for finally acknowledging the Lions. All they had to do was beat the world champs. No, the Lions been losing for so long. We gonna give them props when props is due. Not necessarily. They need to continue to show us. Shout out to Julius Jermaine. Greatness to work is in the building. Greatness says he's saying those at the top operate as a group while we're operating as individuals. Remember what happened to Kanye, power over money. I don't think that that's what he was saying. I just seen him drop the mic. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Greatness to work. I appreciate you. Mr. Maximus is in the building. Says, Voltron, I prefer to come together like... Shout out to Mr. Maximus in the building. I appreciate you. Let me continue on with the show with my C student perspective and my C student financial advice. One more thing before we get up out of here. I want to address the U.S. deficit. Because we got to end it on a money note, not just from an entertainment perspective. A lot of people know that the U.S. deficit is around $33 trillion. $33 trillion. And so let's break this down a little bit before we get out of here. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. And if you have not already, get that Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. And then last but not least, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get it.
Nearly $33 trillion. That's what the U.S. national debt was as of early September 2023. At the end of July 2023, when the debt was about $3 billion less, roughly $7 trillion of that was intragovernmental debt holdings, meaning the government owes itself that money.
If this all sounds confusing, don't worry. I'm going to try to break it down from a C student's perspective. But let's just get the full scope of it so that we can start to mine it out a little bit. Because a lot of people don't really understand what inflation is. They don't understand where it comes from. They don't know why the U.S. debt is at $33 trillion. They don't know how much we spend on the military. They don't know where this debt started to come from, why we're not able to manage it effectively, why other countries then hold U.S. debt, what that has to do with how it is that we're managing international relations, how it is that they're supposed to argue over budgets, why they keep saying that the debt ceiling need to be raised every time they want to put the government on hold because Congress can't come to an agreement. We need to start to deep dive so that we can better understand exactly how our country is ran so that we can start to ask the right questions at the right time, especially during election season. Let's continue.
Majority of the debt, about $25.7 trillion, was held by the public.
Oh, so you mean that you guys are the ones that hold the debt? The overwhelming majority of the debt is held by the public. We're going to break that down.
The thing that we refer to as the national debt is really nothing more than an accounting record. It's keeping track of how many dollars the government has added to the broader economy, minus how many dollars it has subtracted away from us, mostly through taxation.
Is there a reason you should want debt to be zero, precisely zero? No, there's no reason for that. Debt has many useful purposes. It's very useful for emergencies.
The national debt increased by nearly 90% since the beginning of the pandemic.
Wait. The national debt basically doubled since 2020 when this pandemic, I'm not going to say that it was a manufactured pandemic. I'm not going to say that it was planned. I don't know. I have no information in order to tell me otherwise. I just have my little own conspiracy theory thoughts. And because I have a platform, I'm going to be very responsible with my platform and not tell you what my opinion is. Shout out to Anastasio Rodriguez. You know I got love for you, baby girl. I'm not going to tell you what my opinion is. I'm just going to give you the facts, and then I'm going to speak on what it is that I know. And I know that the debt has increased almost 100%. That means doubled since the pandemic in 2020. So when y'all was getting all of these stimulus checks, and then they was sending all of this PPP money out, and now we see all of these people getting arrested for their PPP money, but they not necessarily being able to give it back in order to have this manufactured economy that was stimulized. It was stimulized, meaning that they put a bunch of money into circulation, which then increased inflation, and then they manufactured it. They wanted to get inflation back in line, so now they got you guys on TikTok complaining about how you can't afford to go to the grocery store or fill up your car, or you can't afford rent and all of this. All of this stuff is basically manufactured. Don't worry, we'll get into it. Stick around. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm too.
But many economists and politicians warn that the ever-expanding national debt can be harmful to the economy.
And unfortunately, we're using it for rainy days and sunny days right now.
We have to think about the interest rate on what we pay.
Let me move this forward a little bit. I'm gonna get into it.
The majority of the U.S. debt is held by the public in the form of government securities, such as treasury bonds, notes, and bills.
When the government borrows money, it does that by issuing a bond, which is a piece of paper that either says, I owe you this much money in the future, or I'm going to pay you interest at these particular time horizons and then pay you back the full amount at some other time in the future.
Government is giving us the ability to trade in some of the dollars that it has supplied for a different kind of U.S. dollar, called a government security.
The U.S. dollar represents the reserve currency for the world, so lots of people want to own our treasuries.
Treasury debt is considered an extraordinarily safe, secure asset.
And that is the key. That is the key. Treasury debt, which is the overwhelming majority of what that debt is, of what that's made up of. So when you think about this $33 trillion, $27 trillion of it is in debt to other people. It's to you, it's to the world, and it's because, and this is one of the reasons why BRICS is so important, right? Why we keep having this conversation about the collapse of the American dollar based off of BRICS, based off of other countries no longer using the US dollar as its reserve currency, meaning that you have to have a backing, and a lot of that backing is based off of our belief in it. And most people don't even understand what inflation is. They don't even understand what reserve currency is. They don't even understand the value of a dollar. This is why it's so important and why BRICS is meaningful to a lot of people. BRICS is literally trying to divest themselves from being interdependent on the American dollar as the backup reserve currency. Well, why is that important? Well, the reason that is important is because the value of something is based off of what our belief in it is. So if you go back to the foundation of what the American dollar means, it was basically a way for us to be able to trade goods and services and be able to buy the things that we need easily without killing each other, right? Well, how do you do that? It has to be backed by something. So first you have to have stability in your government, and that's why most of these other countries can't do it, because they can't control inflation. They can't control what's going on as far as what's being traded. They don't have a powerful enough military to control what's happening within the world. They don't even have the lobbyists and the backing of other financial institutions and infrastructure in order to implement these things that we see happening throughout the world, right? So when you talk about inflation, inflation is basically the lowering of value of the American dollar based off of the other factors that go into whether or not we really believe in that currency. Okay, so let's go back to the American dollar and what it means, right? The actual dollar itself is not even worth the paper that we printed on. The actual dollar itself is not even worth the paper that we printed on. That's why it's so important for them to go ahead and make sure that they tackle counterfeiters and things like that, because if other people start to believe or manufacture the same currency, or they start to lose faith in it or trust in it, then the value of it completely goes down and inflation sky high, right? They have $1 million. They have $1 million bill in some other countries because inflation is so high, and the people still don't believe in it, and it's not worth anything. Well, the money that it's printed on is not worth anything, but the backing of it, which was supposed to be based off of the actual real things that we have within the reserve, the gold, the silver, and so on and so forth, was supposed to give it its value. Now, what happened was the federal government realized, and they said, listen, the people already believe in it, so we can just print more money in order to solve for some of the problems that we have, thus creating inflation, right? Because now the value of it is lower, and we're not actually justifying it against anything that's within the Federal Reserve. It's all based off of our inherent belief in it. So when they say that the banks are too big to fail, they actually mean it. Our financial institutions are now the backbone. It's not our manufacturing. It's not based off of the economy. It's not based off of how many jobs we have. It's based off of debt and our belief in this currency that's not even worth the paper that it's printed on. So now what are we talking about, right? In order for people to really, really be able to justify their net worth, they back it by or compare it to what's happening as far as the American dollar. More importantly, the rich people don't even believe in this thing. Rich people don't believe in this. This is just a tool. Well, Anton, what do you mean by rich people don't believe in this? We understand that the value of this thing is based off of our belief in it. But in order for us to continue to beat you at it, we have to then deploy it in order to give us more assets that we can then justify how it is that you spend money. So let me give you an example. Real estate, right? Real estate. Now, I know that this is not worth anything, and I can tell the ignorance of a person when they say, well, you're not a cash millionaire, like I work for Baby and Slim and Lil Wayne. You're not a cash millionaire. And I say, well, you're absolutely right. Because there's no way in hell that I ever hold $1 million in cash, understanding that the value of it is largely determined by your belief in it. And inflation, it's not even beating that. So the value of it is going down every single day based off of inflation. What we do is we use it as a tool, and then in return, we buy assets that then can beat the rate of inflation and also justify how it is that you're spending your money. So debt is basically a tool that's being leveraged by the federal government in order to continue to keep you believing in it and then keep the economy humming. Don't worry about it. If you missed it, go ahead and rewind it and play it again. This is a tool, and the effectiveness of this tool is largely based off of your belief in it. This is a tool. The effectiveness of the tool is largely based off of your belief in it. So what am I telling you to do? Unlike the last segment that we just had on this show, where we couldn't figure out exactly what the actionable item is, I'm telling you to divest yourself against the debt that you have and continue to acquire assets, things that appreciate and continue to add value to you over time, regardless of what the currency is, because eventually we're going to get rid of this and we're going to move all digital anyway. But regardless of what the currency is, the one thing that you cannot replace is an actual real asset. And even these assets, let's take this watch, for example, right? It's all gold, solid through and through. It's a Rolex watch. The value of this watch is largely based off of your belief in it. It's based off of what you value it to be, because I couldn't sell it for anything if it didn't mean anything. If the world went to shit today, this watch would be worth zero because you wouldn't have any need for it, because we would be focused more on survival than thriving. We would be focused more on trying to feed ourselves. So then food and farming would be worth more than what this actual watch is, because this would bring no value to a people that then only need it to survive or be able to make sure that they can feed their family, right? It's often told that, or even, you know what? I remember it was a quote or a part in the movie of Lord of War. And he said that, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't Lord of War. It was Batman. And Alfred was talking to Batman on the Dark Knight series about the Joker. And he said, Batman, or he was talking to Bruce Wayne, and he said, listen, one time it was a band of robbers, and they would go out and they would rob all of these people for all of their jewels. And they would often find these jewels as big as tangerines and so on and so forth. And they would just throw them out. It's because those robbers didn't actually see the real value and how much money that those was worth. They only wanted to put chaos upon the world. And he was trying to warn him that the enemy that he was going against, which was the Joker, didn't value or have the same core values as he is, or he did. And so the things that he thought was meaningful was going to be completely different. And he was going to upend everything that he thought that he was, based off of the fact that he was going to change his mindset. You have to change your mindset in order to really understand how to control what people really value. Once you see what the value, damn, this is deep. I could do a whole live stream on this. Do you know why it's so hard? I'm going to get into the video in a minute. Do you know why it's so hard for you to then divest yourself against the thing that's the worst for you? Often at times it's the woman that you sleep next to. You know why you continue to contract diseases and you keep seeing it through? You know why you keep paying for these women to finesse you and all of this? Do you know why? It's because most men overvalue box. See, the value of box, and this is the thing that women leverage against you, is based off of your belief in it. I'm going to teach a whole lesson on this on Wednesday. The value of the box, it's not even a real thing. You willing to trade this for that. That's why they said it ain't tricking if you got it. The value of it is based off of your belief in it. Now, why is it not as valuable as it was in yesteryear? Because it's easily accessible, which means that the value of it has went down significantly. The value of it has went down significantly because it's so easy to get. So now, because it's easily accessible, we don't look at it the same. We don't have to get married. Why buy the cow when I can get the milk for free? But for some men, and this is the thing that women still have, They understand that men are going to do anything, including crash out and put their own life on the line, just because she's a woman, because she got something in between her legs that you can put your thing into, right? And so this is why I'm a C student, and this is why I'm able to break it down a little bit more effectively than most other people. The value of something is only what it is that you believe in. And so the minute that you start to divest yourself from it, you can start to utilize it more effectively. So now, because I don't worship box, right? Because I don't worship box, I can start to utilize the women that's around me more effectively because you do. You worship this. You value this. I know that you value this. And so it's easier to control you because this little money, this little paper that's not even worth the money, the paper that is printed on, is based off of your belief in it. You worship that woman over there. And so even though it's easily accessible for me, just like this money is easily accessible, I can control you with it because you actually value it more than I do. Now you get it? The value of something is based off of what you believe in it, which is why the government is so easily able to control you with debt. They've sold you on the narrative that credit is more important. Credit is more important than assets. You need to have a good credit score, which is basically the gamification of debt, in order to control the masses. And then that's how they control how you vote. That's how they control what it is that you're going to do as far as how to market to you more effectively. That's how they control what it is that you're going to eat, sleep, buy, where you're going to live at, and even the person that you decide to marry. They're going to control you because they're tying you over to the easy marketing strategy that comes along with your belief system now being emboldened by and controlled by the gamification of money, which is debt. The same way that you look at Fortnite and you look at that's debt. They controlled you by gamifying the very thing that you hated the most, and that's the worst for you, which is debt.
Somebody who's looking for a safe, secure asset would naturally be attracted to buy U.S. government bonds.
So public debt has always been used for emergencies. It's easier to finance by borrowing than to burden the current generation with taxes. And we saw debt rise dramatically in the late 2000s after the global financial crisis. And we saw debt rise again during COVID.
I don't even need to play this. I honestly believe that was too much for a lot of people to consume in the first place. I don't even need to play this video anymore. I'm not even going to play that video. We're going to revisit that another day. We're going to break that down another day because you really need to understand, understand. Shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson. You really need to understand how it is that you're being controlled. A lot of what your problem is has nothing to do with your ability to be able to work hard, has nothing to do with your ability to be able to see it through, to be intentional, to take care of business, to go to work every day. A lot of it is just your mindset. A lot of it is your mindset. See, the reason why math wasn't important to you when you were coming up, the reason why math and a lot of these things wasn't important to you because you said, I would never use this in real life. Well, they didn't break it down as to why you need to think differently in order to get better results so that you can then use the tools such as math, 1 + 1 = 2. But this is not meaningful to most people unless they're able to buy something with it, right? And so what they did was they gamified how it is that you seen money in order to make you a slave to the lender. Now, if you understood how this then kept you down, if you started to understand how it is that you can move a little bit differently as far as your mindset, you could manipulate this a little bit differently. And this is the key to success. This is the key to wealth. It has nothing to do with the dollar itself. It has nothing to do with math itself. It's how you then enable yourself by using it as a tool, but most people will never unlock how to see things differently. And because they can't look outside of what's being presented to them, they think that this is meaningful, and it's not. They think that this is meaningful, and it's not. It's not the math that's meaningful. It's not the dollar that's meaningful. It's what it represents. That's why you need to start thinking differently. I could put this watch on. Watch this. Watch this. I'm not as valuable to you anymore. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear what I got to say anymore. Because your perception of success is different than what success really looks like. You don't want to hear me the same way anymore. Now we talking. Why? Why is this so much more meaningful? Why can you then hear me differently when I put this on? And I understand it. I get the game. I understand how the game is played. Why do you think it's called marketing? The message changed, didn't it? As soon as I put my hand down and I put this hand up, the message changed. It's different now, right? It's different now, right? What gives gold its value? Because we're not even deep diving all the way into it, right? We're not really deep diving into mindset. Mindset is the true currency. It's not this. This is man-made. This is mined out of the earth. There's plenty of this. Before they started using gold and silver in order to justify the value of $1, they had to train you to believe that gold was worth what it's worth. Why is it so mean? Why do you see rappers wear chains? Why is that the representation of wealth to people? Do you know that when I jump on the Millionaire Morning Show, the first thing that I do is I put this watch on? Because the name of the show is called the Millionaire Morning Show. In order for you to hear the message, sometimes I got to put a gold Rolex on. It's too much for y'all. It's too much. It's too deep. You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me because it's so difficult. This is why we talk to children, right? Whenever you want to reach a people, whenever you want to reach the masses, you talk to kids. You don't talk to the adults. You know why? Because it's so hard to get people to unlearn all of the BS that they was taught and that they learned throughout their entire life. They played it to you in the music. They played it to you in their melodies. They played it to you on TV. And sometimes subconsciously, you didn't even know you was being marketed to. So when you say, oh man, good credit, automatically it snapped to something specifically. You don't even know where you got it from. You don't even know where you first heard somebody mention anything about good credit. All you know is that you know it. It was programmed into you from the time that you was born all the way up until today. And it's so hard to get people to unlearn this stuff because they don't want to believe that the matrix it's a real thing. We living in it every day. It's not as presented to you as the movies. It's a matrix of your mind. I ain't gonna go there. Shout out to Shin C. I appreciate you for the final super chat. Thank you, my friend. Says Diddy's power might be in delegating work to others. It might be. I think so. Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Shout out to Shin C. Shout out to everybody that held me down. Hopefully y'all getting it. Y'all getting it. It's too much. It's too much. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Also, shout out to Tiege, Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Link is in the description. Pink Lady, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy nice things. I'm saying that you need to understand and look at things a little bit differently, and then you'll be able to move more effectively from a financial perspective. But it's not based off of finances. It's based off of something different. The finances is just a part of it. Once you learn how to master it, once you learn how to think a little bit differently, you'll be way more effective. The nice things is just a part of it. The nice things come with it. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I need you to do me one more favor before we get out of here. It's going to be a great week. It's going to be a great week. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get about it. It's too much for me to go into at one time. I have a meeting that I got to prepare for 1:30 p.m. I'm going to see y'all tonight for the Q show. It's going to be a great show. I promise y'all I'm going to be cooking. Yeah, man. I'm going to be cooking tonight on the Q show. Make sure y'all tap into the Anton Daniels channel. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get about it. Let me read one more super chat, and then we're going to get up out of here. Aaron Woe says, 780 credit score. What do I do with it? It depends on where you at financially. A lot of people, what they don't understand is that having a credit score alone is not just good. You also have to have the income to go along with it. You have to have the payment history. It's a lot of other factors. So if y'all want me to deep dive into credit, I can tomorrow. Or maybe I'll do that inside of the Patreon. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. I do got to prepare for a meeting, so I appreciate everybody that tapped in. Make sure you do me one more favor before you get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Send me all of the stories that you guys want me to cover. I'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I'm not going to guarantee y'all anything. But make sure y'all email me, antondaniels413@gmail.com. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.